Welcome today to a Q&A with your boy, Jack Ormonroyd. I put on my Instagram story, got a few good questions from some of you anyway. A few of them are a little bit weird, but yeah, we're going to run it. So, the first question, best traveling experience so far? It's actually a very hard one to say. I've been to a lot of countries in the last 2 years, but I would truthfully say the best traveling experience that I had was a combination between two places. The first one is Thailand, and the reason why the first one is Thailand is because it was the first place that I ever left home for such a long period of time. I learned how to drive a motorbike, I learned how to train, how to fight Muay Thai, and my life just completely changed. But I was working some crazy hours in Thailand, like 7 p.m. till 6 a.m. I went to sleep when the fucking sun came up, and it was a heavy period of grind. It was a heavy period of growth. 12-hour days, 15-hour days, 7 days of the week to make 10k a month. I felt robbed. It's actually very interesting because the best experience out of Thailand, I would have to say, is meeting this one person that was actually very special to me in my life, or is very special to me in my life. And I met them on a boat going to Pig Island on a random occasion. And the way that we met was my friend's friend from Ireland, shout out my Irish Donnies, he was swiping on Tinder and matched this girl. And basically, then we went up to meet them as a group, and then I met this other girl through them, and I told her, I was like, yo, she told me, sorry, that she was going to Phuket, and I was like, yo, I'm going to Phuket, I'm driving to Phuket on the bike. You see, the funny thing was that I don't think I actually had Phuket planned, but she turned around and said, yeah, like she said that she was going to take a coach, but that's actually not the case, right? Because I was like, no, I'm going to drive my motorbike out there that I've been driving for a week and a half. And she was like, yeah, cool. And basically what happened was long story short, she ended up on the back of my bike the next day. She told me that she was game for it, and I was fucking terrified. I was like, yo, I actually got to take this sexy gal on the back of my bike for 300 kilometers, and I'd never even rode a bike before. So yeah, that's going to be my best traveling experience. Okay. Tomorrow you're penniless. What are the first 5 things you do to get back to where you are? Okay, this is a very good question. Well, number 1, I'm penniless, but I'll go out and get a credit card, and I'll go out and get fucking resourceful. Number 2, I will invest into a mentor that I find in the space who is the absolute best, who has the best results, and I would find out how on earth I can pay them to teach me. I would then leverage that network to be able to, 1, learn the skills, 2, meet the right people, 3, use their network to land better opportunities. Whether it costs me $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, I don't really care. Because that's exactly what I did at the start. And I used all of my money. After investing into the mentor, learning the skills, leveraging the network, using his network to land better opportunities, I would then go all in and I would burn the fucking bridge. And I would make sure that there is no alternative for me to go back. Because when you genuinely have no alternative, right, and you actually push yourself beyond limits of what you believe you're capable of, if every time you go to quit, if every time you tell yourself that you're tired, if every time you tell yourself, oh, I should just get an early night, you push beyond that, even if it's just for 3, 4, 5 months, like the amount of progress that you'll see will literally be insane. I remember it took me 5 months to hit 15k in a month. It was like 14.7 or something like that. When I hit that, I didn't even feel any different because I'd worked so hard to become the person who does earn that actually it was pretty much a breeze. And so they're the 4 things that I would do. The last one that I would do once I've landed the offer, got the opportunity, gone all in, burnt all the boats and just locked in, is I would then start posting content, and I would also start documenting the journey the whole way through. Because then you can go back. That's one thing that I regret, to be honest, is not documenting the journey enough. Because I've literally gone through every single trench and I've hit every single roadblock internally, externally, that you can ever imagine when it comes to entrepreneurship, it comes to making a change in your life. Gone through the self-doubt, gone through the fear of judgment, gone through the fear of failure. I've gone through absolutely everything and failed so many times. I've been kicked off offers before for not performing. I've been top of the leaderboard on many offers that I've been on. And so I understand what both sides are. So yeah, they're the 5 things that I would do, but that's a fucking fantastic question. In summary, I would go and get resourceful, and I would make sure that I am capable. And with the resourcefulness that I have, I'd make sure that I use that wisely invest into the right person to learn the right skill set. Now, if I didn't have the option to get a credit card, then I'd just use all of the free resources and put an insane amount of time into my skill set so that when I'm networking, I can actually provide value. And then when I provide value, then I'm going to build out a circle, and I'll keep an Excel sheet of like the close connections to me, and I would consistently provide them value on a regular basis. And and then I would rinse and repeat the exact same process of step 3, 4, and 5. But I actually really like that question. Number 3, the best sales mentorship that you ever got. Well, I've spent over $60,000 in sales training, so it's pretty hard to say that there's one specific person. But the person that taught me is a very muscular, handsome motherfucker under the name of Kurt Udale. And I used everything that he taught me in combination with everything that Bill Walsh taught me, in combination with everything that a guy called Connor Healy taught me. And I packaged everything up and put it into one program. So now it's like the most refined version of that. And it still gets refined on a bi-weekly basis. But the reason why, out of those 3, I would say that Kurt's was the best one for sure. The reason why is because like I've always been into mindset and like self-awareness, and I've really had to break a lot of my own limiting beliefs, but without even realizing and being aware of what like a limiting belief is. And then when I found out that he basically taught me before he was a coach, because we were on the same offer, and he was really helping me out because he's just a fucking G. And so I always think that I owe him a lot, because he's literally, that was the one thing that changed everything for me, just understanding how to work the mind. And because I knew how to work my own mind so well, like everything just clicked. I can use the same reframes I gave to myself now to help other people go through exactly the same process. So yeah, it's a tricky question to answer, because they all built up and they all came at the right time. And I learned the right steps at the right time to be able to produce the perfect program in my mind together. And like there's a bunch of students in my program who literally start from 0 sales experience, and within 6 weeks they're hitting $1,000 days. They're turning around, and Henry, for example, made $6,000 in commissions in his first month. Cody had his first $1,000 day yesterday. Joe made $14,000 last month, and they all started from essentially like anywhere from like 0 to like 3K. So everything can fucking change as long as you understand and you're self-aware, because sales is a game of self-awareness. Success is a game of self-awareness. I would even go so far as to say the more self-aware you are, the more fun you'll have and the more money that you'll make. Well, number 4, what is your one non-negotiable task that you do every day? To be honest, I don't really have a non-negotiable task that I do every day. Apart from, well, for work-wise, no, because everything changes every day. So I can't say that this task needs to be done every single day. I have days where I do the same tasks. Like on a Monday, I'll make sure I film all of my content for the week. Well, the one non-negotiable task that I do every day, there's 2 sides to it though, right? Because there's one non-negotiable task that you have to do to prioritize your health and your fitness and your mind. And there's another side where you have to do a non-negotiable task for work. And so to be able to get yourself in the most elite primed mindset to perform at your highest ability, you have to first focus on your health. Without sounding like cringe or cliche, go and hit the gym 5 times a week. Make sure you have like a good split, you're eating clean. That's my non-negotiable task, because if I don't go to the gym, then I'm on violence for the whole day, and just like no one has fun around me. So if I go to the gym, everyone's safe and everyone has a sick time and everyone just learns so much more. And also when I wasn't mentoring, when I was closing, I'd be so much more switched on. So because who you are outside of sales completely depends your performance inside of sales. So you need to make sure that you're fucking aligned, you're feeling good, you're treating yourself in a way that's actually increasing your own self-worth and your own self-respect. Because if you don't respect yourself, who the fuck is going to, basically? Now, number 2, what I would say is non-negotiable task for work is review or watch other people's calls minimum once a day when you're learning, to be able to fucking get the reps in and understand what they're doing. But you treat the call as if they're closing you. You treat the call as if you're the prospect, but you're watching the call back. That's a non-negotiable task that I did every day. I ended up doing it for like 2-3 hours a day when the lead flow was low. So make sure to fucking do that, because that will make you print. Dealing with family that doesn't believe in what I do. Advice on that, please. Okay. Well, I think sometimes in order for your family to believe in you, you first need to believe in yourself, right? Because that shit's contagious. And if you believe in yourself to such a high degree, then there's no holes for them to poke, because you're made out of brick and they're trying to poke a hole with a sewing needle. And so I always strongly believe that if you believe so much in yourself and you take the actions of the version of you who does believe in themselves, then there is no way on this planet that you can't see the success that you want to see. And people will automatically buy in. And so you do have to kind of block that shit out a little bit. But yeah, I would say really focus on the belief in yourself before you focus on letting other people believe in you. Can I still be in a relationship and continue building my empire? Well, it really depends, right? Because Alex Hormozy always says that if you want to grow fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, grow together. And when I heard that quote, it kind of resonated with me because I've been in phases in my life, especially in this, where I've been in a relationship and I've been out of a relationship. And I can truthfully say that if you're already in a relationship, then the most growth comes when you're together, especially if that person's been with you from the start, because they understand the ups and the downs that you've been on. You've shown them your real true colours in those moments of stress. And so in answer to your question, yes, but there needs to be clear expectations and rules for you both to live by, because it's not a normal relationship. Your entrepreneur dating an entrepreneur or your entrepreneur dating a non-entrepreneur, like there needs to be some kind of like understanding, clarity and expectations that are met on both sides. Because as you grow as individuals, you'll become more self-aware, and the more self-aware you become, the more you'll realize that the other person lacks. And so you need to be able to come to terms and agree on what the other person lacks and be comfortable speaking about that. And then speaking about it will ultimately solve any problems that you face. What if it takes me a few months to make my money? What if? So what? Who gives a fuck if it takes you a few months to make your money? At least you're making your money, G. But in realness, like, if it takes you a few months to make your money, then that's sound. That's all right. Like, don't worry about it. There's people that I've met who've been in this industry for 3 years and not even touched 10K. There's people that I've met who've been in this industry for 3 months and hit 10K. The difference between the two is that one takes relentless action on what they fucking believe in, and the other, like, submits to, like, passive action. You're in control of the money that you want to make in this industry. So you have to go out there and make it. How would you spend your first 10K? Or how did I spend my first 10K? In terms of at once, how I spent my first 10K was I gave it to my mum, because she's a fucking G and she looked after me a lot as a kid. How would I spend it if I was somebody else? I would spend it on an experience, and I would spend it on like a trip. Because yeah, you can buy materialistic things or milestone pieces, watches, cars, sure. But eventually you'll get bored of that shit and you'll just buy a new one. But when you buy an experience, you always remember that experience, because you take photos, you take videos, and you just, like, especially if you go with people that you love and care about as well, like, that's how I would spend my first 10K. Treat someone that you fucking love dearly, whether it's your mum, dad, whole family, girlfriend, wife. That's how I would spend my first 10K, because that's actually what's going to make you so much more driven to do more. This is a very interesting question. How did you overcome the fear of leaving your job and doing this? What you have to understand is that fear is a completely normal feeling to experience. It's a defense mechanism of your mind. It wants to keep you in the most primed state of survival. Now, if you act within the fear, and you'll never be able to act against it. But if you act against the fear, if you imagine that butterfly there is the fear, and you just boom, uppercut the butterfly's not going to live anymore. The butterfly will be dead. So the same thing can happen with fear. If you decide to take a step into fear, you're always going to be able to push past it. And this is like a question that I always repeat to myself. It's like, why did you do it? But when you know that there is a life or a version out there, when you know that humans are capable of the same thing as each other, if all you do is put in the work. Because imagine if you trained every day to be a bodybuilder, guess what's going to happen? You're going to become a bodybuilder. So if you train every day to be successful, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be successful. So what you have to understand is that if you make one decision to be successful and you burn the fucking boats and you do everything that's in your power to be successful, the likelihood is you're going to be successful. Or the other side of it is that you can die thinking, what if? And that's a pretty empty feeling to feel. So yeah, this has been the Q&A. I hope you enjoyed it on this beautiful walk in countryside in the middle of Europe. Camera woman, it's done very well, so shout out to you. And thank you for all the great questions. My Instagram is in the comments. If you are truthfully looking to leave your job and actually make a change in your life, then I'll put my Calendly in the description for you. You can book in a call with me, and it's okay. If you're on the fence, just do it anyway. No pressure, mate. Ciao.